17 years since the A80 Toyota Supra went out of production, and a staggering 26 years since any Supra last officially graced a Toyota showroom in Australia, the Japanese sports coupe has finally made a return. Fitter, faster and better value than ever. It took a joint venture with BMW to get the program up and running, twinning the engineering with the German Z4 Roadster and the Japanese Supra Coupe, but Toyota is adamant that its hero machine is actually quite different. Once the core structure of both cars was determined, including the dimensions, the placement of the fuel tank, the positioning of the windscreen and A-pillars, and the suspension hardware, both manufacturers, for the most part, went their separate ways in designing and engineering their reborn sporting models. But that doesn't stop the Supra and Z4 from sharing many key components. Built alongside each other in the Magnestädter factory in Austria, the Supra and top-spec Z4 both feature a turbocharged BMW straight-six engine tied to an 8-speed automatic transmission, though each with unique tuning. Much is shared inside too, with the Supra benefiting from the quality of BMW's switchgear and cabin plastics while scoring a few ace details of its own. But surely the biggest deal about the Supra is how it drives. I'm driving the new generation A90 Toyota GR Supra in Australia at Phillip Island Raceway. Now, I'm not out on the racetrack because I'd have to wear a helmet and you wouldn't be able to hear a word I was saying, but I can tell you that this car is such a terrific all-rounder. Now, we drove the prototypes of this car in Spain last year, and it came across as something that rode pretty well, that was nice and lusty in its performance, and had surprising poise. And this track, which is really fast and unforgiving for something that is dynamically inept, shows that having a really short wheelbase like the Supra does, and yet with all of that turbocharged BMW-inspired and derived power, it actually has real poise and panache. This car is quick, and you know what? It's also pretty good value. The GT that I'm in now starts at $85,000, and it has a surprising amount of equipment as standard. The top spec GTS is $10,000 dearer, costs $95,000, that's $10,000 more. And so far, 80% of Australian buyers have specified that particular model. What both Supra variants share is the same 250 kilowatt, 500 Newton metre 3-litre BMW straight six with a single twin-scroll turbocharger, as per the Z4 M40i, and a sophisticated suspension setup consisting of double joint front struts, a multi-link rear end with aluminium control arms, adaptive damping, and an active electronic limited slip differential. Toyota's chief engineer, Tetsuya Tada, claims the Japanese influenced the packaging of the joint venture Supra and Z4, shifting the engine rearward to a front mid position for perfect 50-50 weight distribution, as well as shortening the wheelbase to enhance the car's agility. The goal was to achieve what Tada-san calls a golden ratio, combination of track width, wheelbase length and centre of gravity height, that number being 1.6 to 1. That defines a mixture between really sharp agility, which this car does have, especially on a fast track like this, and also a planted, secure stance, which is something the new Supra also has. It has the same ratio as a Porsche 911 and is only 0.01 inferior to a Ferrari 488. And now, in a Toyota, especially a reborn sports car like this, that number is crucial to just how pleasant and how fun and often how inspiring this car is to drive. From the outside, it doesn't look a whole lot like the Z4. In fact, it only shares the wheelbase, the A-pillars and their placement, the door handles, the general shape of the clamshell bonnet, although it is different and the shut lines are different, and the door, the frameless doors, which also has a different shut line. And I think even though the interior that we're looking at here has a whole heap of BMW switchgear, it's all better than what Toyota's would be. So it actually is doing the Supra a real favour. The Toyota also has a much nicer steering wheel than BMW's over-fat M wheel. It's nice and thin-spoked, perfect to place your thumbs in. Really nice instruments with a big tacho and a little Blade Runner-esque digital speedo on the left, which looks nothing like the BMW's and is so much nicer. I actually really like it. And the Supra is also practical. It has a 290 litre boot, which is bigger than the BMW's as well, and it is backed by what Toyota Australia is really well known for doing, and that is cheap servicing from the largest dealer network in the country. It will only cost you $380 a service for the first 5 services, and the service intervals are 12 months. So not only is the Supra pleasant to drive, will be relatively rare, only 300 coming in the first year, and really quite fast, it's also cheap to service, will be super reliable, and is great value. Now, about the only thing you probably can't like about it is the styling. But you know what? In matte Nürburgring grey, which you can option on the GTS, or even in black in either model, I think the Supra looks quite sinister. And with these big, broad LED bands that almost span the whole entire nose of the car, it also looks unique too. It has a really nice muscular visage from when you're looking in the rearview mirrors behind, and it looks so much better in the flesh than it does in photos. So don't judge it until you've seen it, because it's worth the wait.